Hey gang, Chase here, and today we're going to be talking about the new E-M10 Mark III camera from Olympus. Now, I've enlisted the help of the very talented photographer, Melissa Morley, to help me put some of these things to the test. So, Melissa, what do you have planned for us today?
Hey, well, first off, thanks for having me. As you can see, we're here in Chicago along the beautiful lakefront. It's super early, but we're gonna knock this out.
It's too early.
Yep. But I invited a local fashion blogger, Whitney Buha, to join us, and we can do some street style type of images. I'm hoping that the shoot will kind of highlight and showcase all the Olympus's professional features while keeping it in kind of a low-key, practical, everyday atmosphere.
We're gonna be taking a look at a few things like low lights, the image stabilizer, the autofocus feature, maybe a quick look at the resolution, so let's get started.
Cool, sounds good to me.
Awesome.
Let's see. So I think I want to go and have you stand in one of the puddles so we get like that nice reflection.
Yeah.
Chin a little bit to me. Yep, perfect. And eyes to me. Beautiful. Chase, you are in my shot, but that's okay. Yeah, this is the little guy. I know. So that's why I was like, okay, well, this would be perfect for someone who's doing like their own blog and all that. This is something that you could own if you don't want to have like a huge DSLR and just kind of carry it in your bag or whatever, and then pull it out.
It's easier to travel with.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. Okay, I feel like we're ready to switch locations. No, I'm like trying not to yawn.
I know. I need to stop.
Can't help it.
Okay, we found a pretty good spot to do our low light test under this tunnel. Now, the E-M10 Mark III does have a built-in flash, which will help you in low light situations, but we want to see what its 16.1 megapixel live MOS micro four thirds sensor can do when we push it to the limit and crank the ISO up. So, what are your first impressions of the camera?
So far so good. Super lightweight, easy to carry around. But with that, this grip is maybe a little small. I have pretty small hands and it's not even meeting like the end of my palm. It could be fatiguing after a long day of shooting.
On the older model, they made an extra grip that brings the front out a little better. Would you like something like that?
Yeah, I feel like that would be really beneficial.
What do you think of your low light shots so far?
You know, I was pretty happy. We shot them with the recommended 200. They would be fine, but it's too low light of a situation for those to even turn out. So we punched up to, I did 800, probably be able to get away with that exposure-wise, and then we went up to 3200. And at that point, like, I feel like we started getting a little bit of noise, like in the shadows of her hair.
This camera does have a really nice 5-axis image stabilizer. That probably helped you in the low light, right?
Yeah, I was shooting either like an 80th or a 60th, which usually is the rule of thumb not to drop it down or else you're gonna get a little bit of that handshake. And then to test that, drop it down to a 40th, but it seemed okay. I mean, it did help.
Awesome, great. Well, let's move on to the next one.
Cool.
To the surface. So the 5-axis image stabilizer we were talking about was introduced with the last model, the Mark II. And what's nice about it is that it's all done within the camera body. You don't need a special IS lens to access it. It's nice for photographers because, like Mel said, you can shoot at a slower shutter speed and reduce some of the blur that would come from handshake. But it's also really great for videographers because they can shoot without a tripod or get really cool fluid moving shots with the camera. So the E-M10 has an updated autofocus system. It has 121 autofocus points now. I believe the Mark II only had 81. And thanks to the new TruePic 8 processor, it's going to be able to snap to the focus really quickly. So the camera can shoot 8.6 frames per second when in burst mode, and we're gonna see how well that autofocus follows a running person.
We started on sequential high, which for Whitney, and she was just jogging, was a little too fast. So I switched over to sequential low, dropped it into AF continuous tracking, and that worked great.
The E-M10 Mark III has interchangeable lenses, which is really nice. We use some of the wider lenses, like the 17 and the 25 today. I think those are going to be good for the more casual user because they're smaller, more compact, and the camera has a pretty high resolution. So you should be able to crop into images quite a bit and still keep a lot of sharpness.
All those were great as fixed lenses, you know, but then we decided to switch over to this 12 to 100. Now, if this isn't already in your kit, it may not be a practical option for you since it is more expensive than the camera body itself. But it kind of allowed me to shoot these like nice wide ones by the lake and then just to like punch in and grab portraits of her.
All right, so our beautiful sunrise is gone. We've got the hot, bright sun out now, but we're all finished with the shoot. What were your impressions of the E-M10 Mark III camera from Olympus?
Overall, I think it's a great piece of equipment. Aesthetically, I really liked this kind of old school 35 kind of look it has.
It's like a classic feel,
yeah, with this like leather kind of feel on the outside. I'm not a regular Olympus user, so picking this up and learning the menus was actually easier than I thought it would be. It's nice that it has a touch screen, so if you don't feel like toggling through, you can just kind of poke at it. I also like that this can kind of flip out, and let's say you're a street shooter, like you can be like super low profile.
Yeah. Or if you're in a crowd, you can raise it above
Right,
your head and
exactly.
point it down.
Yeah, totally. Either
Awesome.
way. The hardest thing for me to get used to was the digital LCD, but that's what's going to happen when you switch from, you know, a traditional DSLR body down to a mirrorless one. The benefit is like, you know, it's a smaller body, it's so much lighter. You won't get as tired constantly lifting this up, and you know, your one bicep won't be way bigger.
One cool thing that we took advantage of was it has a silent shutter. Whereas an SLR makes a lot of noise and makes you pretty conspicuous, you can flip on the silent shutter and be even more low-key with your shooting. And if you download the app called oi.share, you can take a quick picture of a QR code that appears on your camera, and your camera and phone are instantly linked, and you can put pictures straight from the camera onto whichever social platform you'd like. Well, this is a pretty great little camera. I'm glad that you liked shooting with it. We had a great time shooting today, and if you'd like any more information on this camera, feel free to visit it on bnh.com. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.